You've said AI will likely eliminate millions of jobs. It could increase racial bias, misinformation, create machines that are smarter than all of humanity combined, and other consequences so terrible we can't even imagine what they could be. Many people are going to ask, why on earth did you create this technology? Why, Sam? Why do you think it's captured people's imagination?
I think people really have fun with it, and they see the possibility, and they see the ways this can help them, this can inspire them, this can help people create, help people learn, help people do all these different tasks. And it is a technology that rewards experimentation and use in creative ways. So I think people are just having a good time with it and finding real value.
So paint a picture for us, 1, 5, 10 years in the future. What changes because of artificial intelligence?
So part of the exciting thing here is we get continually surprised by the creative power of all of society. It's going to be the collective power and creativity and will of humanity that figures out what to do with these things.
I think that word surprise, though, it's both exhilarating as well as terrifying to people.
Sure.
Because on the one hand, there's all of this potential for good. On the other hand, there's a huge number of unknowns that could turn out very badly for society. What do you think about that?
I think it doesn't work to do all this in a lab. You've got to get these products out into the world and make contact with reality, make our mistakes while the stakes are low. But all of that said, I think people should be happy that we're a little bit scared of this. I think people should be
You're
happy.
a little bit scared.
A little bit, yeah,
You
of course.
personally.
I think if I said I were not, you should either not trust me or be very unhappy I'm in this job.
So what is the worst possible outcome?
There's like a set of very bad outcomes. One thing I'm particularly worried about is that these models could be used for large-scale disinformation. I am worried that these systems, now that they're getting better at writing computer code, could be used for offensive cyber attacks. And we're trying to talk about this. I think society needs time to adapt.
And how confident are you that what you've built won't lead to those outcomes?
Well, we'll adapt it. Also, I think
You'll adapt it as negative things occur?
For sure, for sure. And so putting these systems out now, while the stakes are fairly low, learning as much as we can, and feeding that into the future systems we create, that tight feedback loop that we run, I think is how we avoid the more dangerous scenarios.
Why put this out for the world to start playing with, to start using, when we don't know where this is heading?
You mean like why develop AI at all?
Why develop AI in the first place, and then why put it out for the world to use before we know that we are safeguarded, that those guardrails are in place already?
This will be the greatest technology humanity has yet developed. We can all have an incredible educator in our pocket that's customized for us, that helps us learn, that helps us do what we want. We can have medical advice for everybody that is beyond what we can get today. We can have creative tools that help us figure out the new problems we're going to solve, wonderful new things to co-create with this technology for humanity. We have this idea of a co-pilot, this tool that today we help people write computer code and they love it. We can have that for every profession, and we can have a much higher quality of life, standard of living. As you point out, there is huge potential downside. People need time to update, to react, to get used to this technology, to understand where the downsides are and what the mitigations can be. If we just developed this in secret in our little lab here and didn't have contact with reality and made GPT-7 and then dropped that on the world all at once, that, I think, is a situation with a lot more downside.
Is there a kill switch? A way to shut the whole thing down?
Yes. What really happens is, like, any engineer can just say, like, we're going to disable this for now, or we're going to deploy this new version of the model.
Can it take the place of that human? Could it become more powerful than that human?
So in the sci-fi movies, yes. In our world, in the way we're doing things, this model is, it's sitting on a server. It waits until someone gives it an input.
But you raise an important point, which is the humans who are in control of the machine right now also have a huge amount of power.
We do worry a lot about authoritarian governments developing this.
Putin has himself said whoever wins this artificial intelligence race is essentially the controller of humankind. Do you agree with that?
So that was a chilling statement for sure. What I hope instead is that we successively develop more and more powerful systems that we can all use in different ways that get integrated into our daily lives, into the economy, and become an amplifier of human will.
Does ChatGPT, does artificial intelligence create more truth in the world or more untruth in the world?
Oh, I think we're on a trajectory for it to create much more truth in the world.
If there's a bunch of misinformation fed into the model, isn't it going to spit out more misinformation?
Great question. I think the right way to think of the models that we create is a reasoning engine, not a fact database. They can also act as a fact database, but that's not really what's special about them. What we're training these models to do is something closer to what we want them to do, is something closer to the ability to reason, not to memorize.
All of these capabilities could wipe out millions of jobs. If a machine can reason, then what do you need a human for?
A lot of stuff, it turns out. One of the things that we are trying to push the technology trajectory towards, and also the way we build these products, is to be a tool for humans, an amplifier of humans. And if you look at the way people use ChatGPT, there's a pretty common arc where people hear about it the first time, they're a little bit dubious, and then someone tells them about something, and then they're a little bit afraid. And then they use it. I see how this can help me. I see how this is a tool that helps me do my job better. And with every great technological revolution in human history, although it has been true that the jobs change a lot, some jobs even go away, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of that here. Human demand for new stuff, human creativity is limitless, and we find new jobs, we find new things to do. They're hard to imagine from where we sit today. I certainly don't know what they'll be, but we'll have all sorts of wonderful new things we do that you and I can't even really imagine today. So the speed of the change that may happen here is the part that I worry about the most. But if this happens, in a single-digit number of years, some of these shifts, that is the part I worry about the most.
Could it tell me how to build a bomb?
It shouldn't tell you how to build a bomb,
but
even though Google searched. Well, no, we put constraints. So if you go ask it to tell you how to build a bomb, our version, I don't think will do that. Google already does, and so it's not like this is something that technology has not already made the information available to. But I think that every incremental degree you make that easier is something to avoid. A thing that I do worry about is we're not going to be the only creator of this technology. There will be other people who don't put some of the safety limits that we put on it. Society, I think, has a limited amount of time to figure out how to react to that, how to regulate that, how to handle it.
And who should be defining those guardrails for society?
Society should.
Society as a whole? How are we going to do that?
So I can paint like a vision that I find compelling. This will be one way of many that it could go. If you had representatives from major world governments, trusted international institutions come together and write a governing document. Here is what the system should do. Here's what the system shouldn't do. Here's very dangerous things that the system should never touch, even in a mode where it's creatively exploring. And then developers of language models like us use that as the governing document.
You've said AI will likely eliminate millions of jobs. It could increase racial bias, misinformation, create machines that are smarter than all of humanity combined, and other consequences so terrible we can't even imagine what they could be. Many people are going to ask, why on earth did you create this technology? Why, Sam?
I think it can do the opposite of all of those things too. Properly done, it is going to eliminate a lot of current jobs, that's true. So talking about the downsides, acknowledging the downsides, trying to avoid those while we push in the direction of the upsides, I think that's important. And again, very early preview. Like, would you push a button to stop this if it meant we are no longer able to cure all diseases? Would you push a button to stop this if it meant we couldn't educate every child in the world super well?
Would you push a button to stop this if it meant there was a 5% chance it would be the end of the world?
I would push a button to slow it down. And in fact, I think we will need to figure out ways to slow down this technology over time.
2024, the next major election in the United States. might not be on everyone's mind, but it
on ours.
certainly is on yours. Is this technology going to have the kind of impact that maybe social media has had on previous elections? And how can you guarantee there won't be those kind of problems because of ChatGPT?
We don't know is the honest answer. We're monitoring very closely. And again, we can take it back. We can turn things off. We can change the rules.
Is this a Google killer?
No.
Will people say
No.
I'm going to ChatGPT it instead of Google it in
No.
the future?
I think if you're thinking about this as search, it's sort of the wrong framework. I have no doubt that there will be some things that people used to do on Google that they do in ChatGPT, but I think it's a fundamentally different kind of product.